Welcome to the Sid Warrior podcast. We have had many interesting guests on this podcast, comedians, startup founders, and finance experts. Our today's guest is spiritual thought leader Bhavesh Bhimanathani. On Instagram, his handle is Bhavesh Yuj, and his videos on Indian mythology and scriptures are extremely popular. I spoke to him about Advaita philosophy, Bhagavad Gita, Vedic traditions, and what we can learn from Indian spirituality. I tried to find out if there is overlap between what neuroscience teaches us today and what our ancient scriptures knew back then. Listen to the podcast, tell me what you think in the comments below, and I will see you on the other side.
Because हम सोचते हैं कर्मा सिर्फ इंसानों के बीच में है, but the fact is that you have karma even with the place.
So that was very exciting for me क्योंकि जब भी कुछ नया सीखने मिलता है तो बहुत मजा आता है. I have been waiting to talk to you for a long time. मैंने आपका रील्स देखा था I think with Larissa जो आपने पॉडकास्ट किया था उनके साथ, and then I saw a series of reels that आपने you've put out content, and every single one had something new that I didn't know. And I am somebody who thought he knew a little bit about Indian tradition, religion. So that was very exciting for me क्योंकि जब भी कुछ नया सीखने मिलता है तो बहुत मज़ा आता है. So I thought कि आपसे तो बात करना ही है. Not just to learn something new, but also to see if we can connect our two fields together. So that is what I want to do. I'm so glad that you're here. So, आप ऋषिकेश से आ रहे हो. Let's start with that.
Yep, हाँ जी, हम ऋषिकेश से आ रहे हैं and आपके सामने है.
So, what made you end up in Rishikesh? Because I know that you are originally a Bombay boy.
Was a so-called Bombay boy. Now I'm from UK, Uttarakhand.
So tell me a little bit about your journey कि आप बॉम्बे से ऋषिकेश कैसे पहुंच गए?
बॉम्बे से ऋषिकेश कैसे पहुंचे जब there are circumstances created in your life. You're just pushed into things where you have to walk and it happens. So calling आया and life happened.
So if you don't mind me asking, आपका age क्या है अभी का?
I am 34 अभी.
Okay. And this journey to Rishikesh happened when?
Happened for many lifetimes, yeah, to be honest. At the age of 34, because वैसे देखा in this body, 34 is nothing, no experience. But of course, your past sanskaras that you're carrying are pushing you forward. So Rishikesh is not like you hop, skip, jump, because it is something only, when the city calls you can go there. So that has happened.
So recently, I have always thought that I am a city person and I am an ocean person. बचपन से ही वो ocean के साथ जो connection था वो हमेशा रहा है. Since the last 1 month, I have visited the mountains thrice. And something is calling me back again and again. I went to Almora, I went to Binsar, and recently I saw the Nanda Devi Hills from Satal. And it was amazing. Like I feel like the Himalayas are so majestic and there's something about it that calls you. So when you said कि calling आता है और जाना पड़ता है, that's what I'm thinking.
It is very true because हम सोचते हैं कर्मा सिर्फ इंसानों के बीच में है, but the fact is that you have karma even with the place. And situations are created, and at times you go to a place and you realize that I'm going there for the first time. But when you touch down, you get that feeling that, you know what? I've been here, I've stayed here. So there is karma with everything, especially with places that, at times we get indication that, things are opening up, kuch plan ho gaya, and all of a sudden you're there. And when, on the other hand, there are places where you don't feel like going. That is also there. So the calling is there. And if you realize that few callings you can't run away from. You will be pushed, and later you realize that, okay, this happened for a reason. So the calling is always there. And half of the people that I've realized are scared of the calling because unknown territory again.
I don't think I have a choice now because I find myself making plans that lead me there. I spoke to the last time we met, you put that idea of Kailash. Yeah. That you can go to the base of Kailash. And since then it's just been circling. And you won't believe it, उसके बाद, so for example, उसके पहले 2 साल तक किसी ने कैलाश नहीं बोला है मेरे सराउंडिंग में, और जब से we have met, 3 people have mentioned it. So I feel like again and again that word is coming in my surroundings.
It was pushing you in certain direction. And slowly, one day Kailash will happen. And who knows, we'll go together. You never know.
I feel so. I think there is some power in words. I feel that जब हम लोग कुछ बोलते हैं तो we are putting out that
Yeah,
kind of
because that is the reason these
energy.
great enlightened beings, they were quiet. Because they had that vak. And their sadhana was so intense that whatever came out from that state of consciousness would happen. And we have a very misconception about rishis cursing and doing this. But every curse was a blessing. So your intention that you are talking and that, so they had that vision that every curse is a short-term curse for us, but is always for the upliftment of the society or Mother Nature.
I'm going to play a bit of devil's advocate. Okay. So I, as a hobby, and later on just as a way of for my own entertainment, would always trying to find scientific explanations of things that are described in mythology. तो जैसे mythology में जो भी लिखा है मैं उसका scientific explanation ढूंढने का कोशिश करता हूँ. तो मुझे लगा कि जो ऋषिज का जो कर्स होता है, I thought that was hypnosis. So अगर suppose मेरे सामने एक ऋषि आया and he's somebody I respect a lot and I believe that he has power, and he tells me that you can no longer speak, I don't think I can speak because I believe it. And there is no way for me to know whether I can actually speak or not, because for me, my reality then becomes कि मैं नहीं बोल सकता क्योंकि इन्होंने बोल दिया है ऐसे.
I think hypnosis for babies, yeah.
Explain. What do you
When
mean
you're
by
talking
that?
about rishis, it's another dimension altogether. When we talk about rishis, whatever we talk about Sanatan Dharma, or whatever we are sharing now, they were living gods, walking gods or not. Like there are great rishis even now who are operating. But our problem is we need logic. Like in your case, hypnosis ho gaya. But what is hypnosis? If I may ask you. And
You're saying that the word hypnosis itself will not apply here?
it doesn't apply because according to the rishis, anything that has taken name and form is Maya. So again, hypnosis is Maya. But they are operating from a stage beyond where everything came into existence. And even I think if you know about hypnosis, it is temporary.
Yes.
But the rishis have cursed, not even cursed, every curse is a blessing. And it is said in one of the texts that even if you encounter a rishi, your 7 generations are taken care, even without talking. So how will you justify that from a very logical point of view?
Interesting.
And I don't know if you have encountered any great rishis, but when you come in the presence of an actual rishi, you will go quiet. You will just go quiet. But there are no words. Then what is happening?
Right. It's because of, what is the explanation? It's because of the power that they have accumulated over years, centuries.
One of the reason is their sadhana, but secondly, they have understood what creation is. And they have tapped into that frequency which is operating in everything at same time everywhere. So once you know the unknown, everything is known.
This reminds me of this line in Srimad Bhagavata. I read the English translation, and I think this was in the second or third paragraph. There was this line that said that you have time, you have space, and you have energy. Endless time is eternity. Endless space is infinity. And endless energy is Maya.
I don't know where you're reading this from, but I think the first 3 chapters of Bhagavad Gita talks about Vedanta.
So is this correct? Is this my interpretation correct?
Okay, I'll just give you a very practical example. Now, just take this. Give it back to me. No, but this is less quantity. How do you know the quantity? So whenever you're talking in space, time and causation, you're giving everything name and form. But whenever you're talking from Vedantic point of view, there is no space and time. There's pure consciousness. And even consciousness, what we use in English is wrong because the rishis call it Brahman. And when you read the Brahma Sutras or you come into some very beautiful Vedantic text, they also say that we need something to communicate. That is the reason we are calling it Brahman. Otherwise, there's no communication required. But we can't comprehend, so that is the reason they called it Brahman. And Brahman means that which is full of everything. And in literally translation, we call it Sat Chit Anand. Anand. Sat is existence. Chit is consciousness. So existence which is full of consciousness and always in bliss. Sat Chit Anand. Consciousness and always in bliss. Even that I'm translating wrong because
we are limited by words.
yes, we are limited by word.
So I am an optimist. So I will always see the positives in everything because I fundamentally believe that human beings are trying.
Yeah.
They're trying their best.
Yeah.
So while words are a limitation, words are all we have for most of us.
Yep.
And this sounds like a very famous pop song, that words are all we have. But it's true. Without words, how can most people have any kind of knowledge?
No, I think word is something which you want to articulate, but experience is beyond words.
Experiences are beyond words.
Like coffee is, for example, a word. But that experience of how you drink the coffee and how I drink the coffee is very different. And that is what was making everything beautiful, I think.
So here's the thing. You have never had coffee in your life. Now I have a cup of coffee with me. Okay. So I'm going to drink it. Now there are no words to explain this experience. But you ask me, kya pee raha hai?
Yeah.
Now suppose if I'm out of coffee, I have to share that information in some way. Now if I don't have words, then I can't share that knowledge.
It is your experience that is giving words, no? Don't you think?
So how do I tell you that this is what I had?
True, that is the problem. No. Like if I'm talking about pure consciousness, or pure consciousness like this, like that, but you don't even know what consciousness is. That is the reason the more you evolve on the path, the more quiet you will go because there are no words to talk about. There's only presence.
There are no words. Correct.
And even I think the most unaware person in the room will realize what presence is.
What does that mean?
That means if you are very, very aggressive and all, I don't need to talk to you. Just by looking at you, at your movement, I will realize that presence will talk.
Right.
So I think everyone is aware, but we wanted to experience awareness only through our point of view. And any point of view is again a judgment. So we are again going down. But a Rishi is like open. Everything is equal. So they're going beyond subject-object.
You're going beyond subject-object.
No, they
are going.
They are limited.
We are limited. Yes. This is very similar to some verse in Bhagavad Gita. I don't remember in which chapter, which says that we only think of right and wrong when we think in terms of identity. मतलब right and wrong होगा हमारे perspective से. अगर perspective ही नहीं है, अगर identity ही नहीं है, तो क्या right and wrong?
See, right and wrong होगा space, time and causation में. Everything is right and wrong between certain space, time and causation.
Correct.
But there's a space beyond space, time and causation. And that is where trying to reach. No, actually, in fact, you are that. In Maya, you're coming in space, time and causation.
Oh. You know, that is such an optimistic view. कि हम लोग already है वहाँ पे.
Of course, you already that, no? That is what the main teachings of Upanishad are. Aham Brahmasmi. I am that.
I am already that.
Yeah, in fact, I am is a complete statement. I am happy, subject object.
Right.
I am blissful, subject object. I am.
I had a very interesting conversation with a friend recently and she was also of a very spiritual mind. And I said something like, it is what it is. And I thought I was being philosophical. And she said, no, that's not true. It just is. It's not even what it is. Because when you say what it is, you're assuming characteristics.
It is.
It is. Now the problem is, where do we go from there? And this was one of the biggest problems of philosophy or spiritual thought that, I ran into at a very early age. That if you reach there, then what? What do you do the next day?
If you reach there, you don't exist. Because if I reach there, then I am there still subject object.
Right.
Like I am reaching there, that means I am different from the destination. Like, have you seen Salt Dolls? There's a beautiful story. There's this raw salt doll trying to realize what the ocean
Mm-hmm.
and decides, I'm gonna walk in the ocean and I'll come out one day and I'll tell everyone what the ocean is. Starts walking. Finish.
She becomes.
The ocean.
Hmm.
But our problem is, I don't want to become the ocean. I am different and ocean is different. And between that is where we are struggling.
This reminds me of the idea of reaching heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That people believe that you will reach heaven, but somehow they still think that they will reach heaven. Like they will carry their identity. Like, so if I think of going to heaven, me, Siddharth Warrior, who is so-and-so's son and so-and-so's husband and having so-and-so likes and dislikes, I will reach heaven. But that is not possible, is it? As long as I have my identity, as long as I'm linked to my identity, it's not possible to leave that.
Practically speaking, to keep very logical for our generation, if you are very happy and you're very satisfied, you're in heaven. Finish. If you're sulking, crying, blaming, you are making your own.
That is 0% of the audience.
Yeah. That is a fact.
Everybody who's listening is frustrated about something.
Yeah, but the problem is frustration is not the problem. The problem is that you are not getting what you want and that is causing frustration. So if you realize that, okay, if I'm not getting it and you're okay, you're free. You're in hell or heaven in that very moment. For example, I'm meeting you and we are not clicking and I accept it, I'm free. But no, I want it to talk that way. I want full control. Then you have created your own hell and heaven.
What's really interesting is that these lessons apply in so many different ways. For example, what you just said is expectation. And every single relationship magazine in the world talks about how you should adjust your expectation in order to be happy with your partner. So at the highest level of spiritual thought and at the commonest problems that everybody faces, some truths are carried through.
Yeah, it's a fact because the highest expectation that we have is family, wife or children and money, especially people like our generation. But the problem is that keeps on changing. Today I want it, tomorrow I want a Bentley, after that I want a car, and then the object is not the problem, the subject is the problem. And I think a highly evolved person realizes that every expectation has an expiry date.
Correct.
And you just go through it.
The whole realization of Gautam Buddha that we are stuck in the eternal cycle of desire and suffering, that is
the teaching of every school.
Every school.
So
speaking of schools, I am personally very fascinated by the Advaita school of philosophy. So I would like to learn a little bit about what it is. When somebody says Advaita, what does that mean?
Advaita, this is very, very interesting. In fact, even we as Indians, we run away from the school. We talk about gods, we talk about pranayam, we talk about asana, but we are lacking knowledge. So if you talk about Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan in the first 3 chapters have clearly given Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta. Or when you talk about Shakti meeting Shiva, that Shiva is Advaita Vedanta. Or when you do any spiritual practice, the termination will be Advaita Vedanta. In fact, the end of Vedas, the Upanishad, this is nothing the teaching of Advaita Vedanta.
Okay.
If you pick up Patanjali Yoga Sutra, though the teachings are different, Purusha and Prakriti, but Purusha is again in other words given Advaita Vedanta. So my point here is Advaita Vedanta. Actually, Advaita means no two. There's only one.
Singularity.
Huh. And the problem is, there's on the other side, everything is positive and negative, as you mentioned earlier. Positive is that there is no two. But we also have something called the Vedantic shuffle.
The Vedantic shuffle.
Yeah, there's something very interesting.
Okay.
People read books, people read about Vedanta and everything is Maya. but they don't realize that you are intellectually talking and you have no experience what Advait Vedanta is. So we call it the Vedantic shuffle when you get entangled in your own words and think that then, but if things are not going your way, again you trip down into duality. So Advait Vedanta is very, very dangerous, but you need that knowledge to operate.
So tell me a little bit about Advait Vedanta's origins. Was it from the Vedas?
It is from the Vedas. It comes at the end of the Vedas. It was brought out to people, normal people like us, to Adi Shankaracharya. And, people also claim that the great Adi Shankaracharya only was talking about Vedanta, but it is not true. He also worshipped different gods. He gave the Sundara Lehri, he gave us the Bhojan mantras, he gave everything. He made us realize that even in nothing there is everything, and even in everything there is nothing. That means the same energy is operating everywhere. So when you give my body, my family, my wife, my job, that my has to dissolve.
Cool.
And that is your ego.
Oof.
Like I'm trying to put in simple words, Vedanta is something very beautiful.
So what I love about Shankaracharya is that there are many states in the country who look at Shankaracharya as if he belongs to them.
He belongs to them. Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Shankaracharya was originally from where?
He was originally from Trishur, no?
From Trishur.
Yeah. His childhood, the lingam is still there.
Yes. And the story is that Guruvayur
Yes.
was so he was carrying the essence of Lord Vishnu, and he took a rest there, and that is the spot where Guruvayur temple
Yeah.
was established.
He was born enlightened, and very amazing background he has. At the age of 32, he went into samadhi. He has traveled the world 4 to 5 times, and he had occults, he had everything. He was also tested. There are 2 stories where he was tested. I can go on and on about it.
Yeah.
But something very fascinating that there's a point where he wants to let go, and in the river,
The crocodile.
creates a scenario with his mother, and age doesn't matter. Age doesn't matter, and we can't comprehend how his teachings are still people are following, and even in future they will follow it because he has decoded Vedanta.
Right. So again, to understand Advaita philosophy or Advaita Vedanta was Adi Shankaracharya's interpretation of the Vedas.
No, there is a part of Upanishads. There are many Upanishads, but 108 are important. Out of which 10 Upanishads have been brought together and that talk about Vedanta.
Okay.
And Vedanta is so practical. I think it is required for everyone because at the end of the day, it will make you realize that nothing is permanent. That constant awareness that, okay, even doctors say this temporary. So whatever time I have to give my best. Even this so-called show is temporary, but I will give my best. And even I am temporary. My body is temporary. But there's only one constant, that is that Atman. So I'm trying to also tap into different topics of Vedanta. But the problem is nowadays I'm encountering that people read books, they read 20 books and other thing, they think they're great Vedantis and I will not do anything. This is mine. This is not. But it doesn't work because we are still entangled in that karma.
Okay. Since you spoke about karma, tell me about action and inaction. Because many times
Very interesting.
when we go into philosophy and we go into the nothingness of things, we might be tempted to believe that action is meaningless, which is very close to the nihilistic school of philosophy.
But sorry, when you're talking about shunya or nothingness from Buddhism, is very different from what Bhagavad Gita is talking.
What is the difference?
When I talk about shunya in Buddhism, it is actual nothingness. Nothing. When you get enlightened, and even after getting enlightened in Buddhism, there are different kinds of enlightenment. This will be another.
Yeah, we will.
But when you talk from the point of view of Bhagavad Gita, nothingness is full of everything. So when I say shunya, that shunya is full of consciousness and full of awareness. It is not nothingness. So when you become an enlightened being, you will be aware about everything. Every minute, because you have tapped into that everything.
Okay.
So that is where the schools
The difference is.
but the goal is the same and the process is different. But understanding is that yes, there is samadhi.
Understood. So when it comes to action and inaction, how do you deal with that conflict?
Are you referring action and action from Bhagavad Gita, from Vedanta, from Patanjali Yoga Sutra, from Upanishad? Pinpoint, then we'll come to that.
I'm going to pick one, like I'm going to pick a chit. So Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad Gita, we are touching into some beautiful topics, and I don't think I can do justice while talking about it because we are addressing different audience. But when Bhagavad Gita talks about karma, any school, because all the different schools, Jainism, Buddhism, Charvak, then Nyaya, Vaisheshika, the entire Sanatan Dharma is held together by karma. We believe in karma, and now modern science is talking about karma, how karma works and whatnot.
Yes. So that was a part of my conversation with Bhavesh Bhimanatani. There was a lot more that we spoke about that I will be sharing with you on a later date. But for now, tell me, what topics do you think a neuroscientist and a spiritual thought leader should talk about? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye everyone, take care.